So good day, grade 9 students. I will be discussing today our topic for first topic for the fourth quarter, and I hope you will learn something from this. So before that, I will be showing you different pictures, which I am sure that you really miss this stuff. So we have different food. We have these dishes. And of course, we really miss this food from the fast food chain that whatever fast food chain that we visit. So this food contains the nutrients that we need for our body to survive in our everyday life. So I showed you those pictures because we will be discussing about biochemistry, the chemistry of life, and specifically we will be talking about carbohydrates. So as you can see, there is a connection between life and chemistry, or biology and chemistry, and that is being studied in the field of biochemistry. So that overlapping topic will be discussed in this quarter. So as discussed in during your first quarter, matter is everything that occupies space and has mass. This is the definition of chemistry. And when we say everything, that means life is included. Whatever form of life there is, the unicellular organisms or the multicellular organisms, that is included and considered as a matter. So, meaning to say, life is also related to chemistry. And that is a thing that we have to discuss and we need to learn. And I hope you really learn something about this discussion today. So we will be talking about the organic compounds that are common in our body and are essential to life. So this includes carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Okay, so the first four topics are very essential to life. These are needed for us to survive in our everyday life. Without these components, so it will be very hard to survive. So I really hope that you will learn something after this topic. So macromolecules. When we say macromolecules, from the word macro and from the word molecules, so these are large molecules from the formation of carbon atoms that bond together to form a long chain of carbon molecules. So this long chain of carbon molecules also includes the element oxygen and hydrogen, together with other elements or other halogen. But commonly, we have oxygen and hydrogen bonded to carbon. So this forms the long chain of carbon, and that is considered as a macromolecule. Another term for macromolecule is polymer. When you say polymer, these are molecules made from repeating units of identical or nearly identical compounds called monomers that are linked together by a series of covalent bonds. So monomer are simple molecules wherein if we are going to stick together those simple molecules, those identical or nearly identical monomers, so we are able to form, or we will be able to form a polymer, which is again repeated units of identical compounds or nearly identical compounds that are linked together by a series of covalent bonds. So biological macromolecules are organized into four major categories. And what are those four major categories? I have already mentioned it earlier. These are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So these four are very essential in our everyday life. We need it. We really need these macromolecules. And the focus of our discussion today is about carbohydrates. And as you can see, carbohydrates can be found primarily in starchy food, just like bread, rice, some fruits. Okay, so those are carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are compounds composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen with a specific ratio of 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogen atoms for each carbon atom. Meaning to say it has a general chemical formula CH2O. So this is the general chemical formula of a carbohydrate. And as you can see here, an example of carbohydrates on the right side of the screen. So if you're going to count the number of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, it will uh, always arrive at the general chemical formula CH2O. So as you can see here, we have 6 carbon. So when we have 6 carbon, we will have automatically 12 hydrogen and 6 oxygen. So that's the basic principle when it comes to carbohydrates. So, biologically important carbohydrates that have values of N ranging from 3 to 7 are called simple sugars or monosaccharides. So, these are called simple sugars. So, an example here are aldose, ketose. So, these are simple sugars composed of 3 carbon. So, aside from aldose and ketose, we also have triose. Then we have pentose, or a simple sugar composed of 5 carbon atoms. Then, of course, we have hexose. Hexose are those simple sugars with 6 carbon atoms. So, the two, if two monosaccharides are combined, so we will form a disaccharide. Then, this disaccharide is composed of a combination of 2 monosaccharide bonded together through covalent bonding also. So, as you can see in the examples here on the right side of the screen, you can see 2 glucose forming a disaccharide, a galactose and glucose forming another disaccharide, and glucose and fructose. Okay, so through the combination of monosaccharides, we are able to form another kind of molecule. And as mentioned earlier, it is called disaccharide. So aside from disaccharide, so carbohydrates can also form a very long chain of those molecules. So when these molecules are bonded together and form a longer chain of carbohydrate, it is now called a polysaccharide. So when there are 3 or more monosaccharide bonded together, that can be considered already as a polysaccharide. So polysaccharide can serve as a storage of energy, though its main function is for structural support. Oh, by the way, monosaccharide and disaccharide are primarily for energy production. So just like monosaccharide and disaccharide, polysaccharide can also serve can also have the same purpose, but its main function is for structural support. And later on, I will be showing you different examples of polysaccharides. So this is an example of monosaccharide. So we have here glucose, we have fructose, and we have galactose. As you can see, these 3, starting from glucose, fructose, and galactose, this has the same chemical formula C6H12O6. If you are going to count each carbon atom and oxygen and hydrogen atom, so we will arrive at C6H12O6. They have the same chemical formula, but they have different structural formula. So you can see they have different structure. This one is hexagonal, this one is shaped like a pentagon, and this one is hexagonal also, but the arrangement of atom is different from that of the glucose. So if these monosaccharides combine, so we will form different disaccharides, just like sucrose. Sucrose is a combination of glucose and fructose. So sucrose is technically this is our table sugar, the sugar that we use every day. That's sucrose. By the way, the sweetest form of sugar is fructose. Fructose can be found in fruits. Another disaccharide, we have lactose, from the combination of glucose and galactose. So this kind of disaccharide can be found in milk. So that's lactose. And another one is maltose. So we have glucose bonded to another glucose. So this maltose can be found is primarily used in brewing. So in malt, in the production of beer. So that's maltose. So another one is polysaccharide. So polysaccharide is an example of that is glycogen, wherein as you can see here, I have to make the picture very small so that you can see the whole glycogen molecule. So this glycogen molecule is composed of a very numerous monosaccharide bonded together to form a very complex pattern or a very complex network of carbohydrates. So this glycogen, the purpose of this glycogen is primarily for structure. Okay, so by the time that we are starving, so we haven't eaten for several days. So this glycogen will be converted into simple sugar so that our body can consume it. So that is why when we starve, we seem to be a little thinner than before because our body consumes this glycogen, which is a part of the structure of our body. So those are carbohydrates, and I hope you really learned from this lesson. So stay tuned for the next lesson. So see you again for our next lesson. Stay safe and stay at home. So God bless.